This is Adam Bernard with AutoPerspectives, and we are back for another news roundup. So let's take a look at some of the more interesting stories in the auto industry over the past week or so. Over in Belgium at the Brussels Motor Show, Kia unveiled their smallest dedicated EV so far, the EV2, which of course slots below the EV3. Now, this was shown as a concept last year, sharing its platform and design cues with the EV3. It's actually a little smaller than the outgoing Soul EV, which is kind of their first iconic electric vehicle, and will start in Europe at less than 30,000 euros. It features flush door handles, a rising belt line, and up to 19-inch wheels, which look pretty substantial on a vehicle of this size. At the rear, you'll see low-mounted tail lamps and a low rear liftover as well to make it easy to get cargo in and out. Underneath is the eGMP-derived front-wheel drive architecture that we see on some of Kia's other entry-level EVs, with either a 42 or 61 kilowatt-hour battery and a front-mounted 145 horsepower motor, which we hear will be a little smaller on the higher range vehicles. It is a 400-volt architecture, so you don't get the quick charging that you get in an EV6 or an EV9. It's 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes, which is about comparable to other vehicles in this class. The EPA range of 278 miles on the European cycle works out to about 240 miles on the EPA cycle. Again, not too bad for a vehicle of this size. It does offer both V2L and V2G capability, so you can not only plug in electric appliances, but also send energy back to the grid, as well as plug and charge capability, which means it's very easy to plug into chargers that have that same protocol set up. It'll go on sale in Europe and Asia later this year. Sadly, it is probably too small to come to the North American market. Inside is an interior that Kia says was inspired by a picnic basket, so kind of playful. It offers a rear bench seat or individually sliding bucket seats, a two-tone color scheme with fabric trim, a wraparound dashboard that you see there goes right into the doors, and a column-mounted electronic shifter. Like other recent Kia EVs, the dashboard layout should look familiar. It's twin 12.3-inch displays, and then a small 5.3-inch climate control screen that's slotted right in between the two of those. The ambient lighting syncs with the turn signals for a little extra safety. And even though this is an entry-level model, it does come with a fair amount of high-end options. Adaptive cruise control with steering assist, a surround view camera, blind spot cameras, a Harman Kardon audio system, heated seats and steering wheel, and digital key technology. So overall, a worthy addition to Kia's rapidly growing EV portfolio. We have heard talk from Kia about an EV1, kind of a city car to get well below the 30,000 euro mark, maybe down around 25,000 euros. And so we might even see a concept version of that later this year, prior to a launch next year, if Kia's past actions are any indication. At the very other end of the scale, Volkswagen has gone big, gigantic in China with the ID.Era 9X. And yes, 9X is also a badge used by Zeekr on their full-size SUV. So this is a full-size flagship SUV built by the SAIC Volkswagen joint venture, and it's based on the ID.Era concept that was shown at Shanghai last year. I have to say it's an attractive-looking vehicle, but if you took the little VW logo off the front, I think you might be hard-pressed to identify this as a Volkswagen. There's a little Range Rover in there. There's kind of a little generic full-size Chinese SUV design in there as well. If you look at some of the other entries in this segment from the Chinese brands, you will find vehicles that are not entirely dissimilar from what Volkswagen plans to offer. You might have expected to see some cues from the ID Cross, which is supposed to usher in VW's new design language, but I confess I really don't see that here. At 205 inches long and 79 inches wide, it is almost as big as a Chevy Tahoe, although it is a BFI design, and it does weigh up to 6,000 pounds. That, in part, is due to the powertrain. As we saw with the original concept, this is an EREV. So you have three different EREV options under the skin, all using a 1.5-liter Miller Cycle turbo engine. The base model has about 295 horsepower with a rear-mounted electric motor, a 51 kilowatt-hour LFP, that's lithium iron phosphate lower-cost battery, and an equivalent EPA range of about 125 miles, which for an EREV of this size is not too bad. Keep in mind that the Jeep Grand Wagoneer is about to launch their EREV here in the US, and that's expected to hit about 150 miles on a full charge. You can get a larger 65 kilowatt hour NMC battery. That'll get you up to about 185 miles. And there is also an available dual motor 510 horsepower layout as well. The concept featured advanced dual chamber air suspension with AI predictive continuous damping control. So it literally reads the road ahead of you and adjusts accordingly. Very high end for remember, Volkswagen is the people's car. So this is quite the premium vehicle. Inside, again, if you didn't see the VW logo on the steering wheel, you could have mistaken this for any number of other premium Chinese SUVs. You get kind of a low profile instrument cluster in front of the driver, and then twin screens in the center on the passenger side with a suitably state-of-the-art infotainment system. It's a 3-row vehicle with 6 seats. It does feature an optional roof-mounted screen for rear passengers, but we haven't heard too much about any other features or technology yet. We'll probably learn more at the Beijing Motor Show this spring. Renault introduced their new global flagship. At least it's a flagship if you don't live in Europe. Right now, if you do go to Europe, their flagship there is the Rafale SUV coupe. But this vehicle, the Filante, is just destined only for Korea, South America, and the Middle East. And it is part of Renault's €3 billion international game plan to grow volume outside of Europe with a portfolio of unique models that Europeans will never, ever see. This is a 2-row, 5-meter long roofed SUV named after the recent record-breaking EV concept. And up front is a rather unique face, kind of a cool 3-dimensional appearance there, influenced by the Renault Diamond, but definitely different from the other faces that you see on Renaults in Europe. And they say it was influenced by Korean tastes. Influenced by Korean taste because they will be sold in Korea and also built in Korea. It'll be built alongside the new Grand Koleos, both of which share Geely's CMA architecture. So this is a larger Renault that does not use the CMF CV platform. And under the hood is not a Renault powertrain, but a Geely powertrain as well. It's a 1.5-liter, 247 horsepower turbo hybrid powertrain. Some new features to Renault: emergency steering assist, a digital rearview mirror, and child presence detection. Renault tells us that about 60% of the sales in Korea are from midsize and larger vehicles, hence putting the Filante here as their flagship entry. Although it's worth noting, at least in Europe, Renault has historically not done very well with larger premium vehicles. And if you're a Renault enthusiast, you might recall the Safran or the Zével Satis or the Avantime, all cool, interesting vehicles that kind of flopped in the market. The interior features a 3-screen layout with a central landscape touchscreen and a new passenger side display as well. There's a floating speaker on top of the dashboard, a console-mounted electronic shifter, and physical controls mounted below the central vents. There are satin-finished decorative inserts, laser-engraved trim, and even a backlit Filante logo on the doors. So some really nice upscale features here, appropriate for a flagship entry. There's tri-zone climate control, air purification, available 10-speaker Bose audio, and a full suite of ADAS technology as well. And what Renault claims is the world's first entertainment experience with an XR in-car camera video game using the vehicle's built-in camera. So again, obviously not while you're driving, but for the passengers to enjoy or while you're happening to park somewhere. So kind of an interesting looking vehicle. Shame that the Europeans won't get it, but it looks like it might be competitive in those markets to which it is destined to be sold. And we'll finish off with the Detroit Auto Show, which also happened this week. And you might have expected me to lead off with Detroit. Unfortunately, Ford was the only automaker to hold a press conference at the Detroit Auto Show. They actually held it Tuesday night before the official press days. There were no press conferences on press day, alas. But Ford did introduce 2 vehicles, or at least 2 variants of existing vehicles. On the left, we have the Mustang Dark Horse SC. This essentially replaces the Shelby GT500. Doesn't get a Shelby name, but it would slot between the existing Dark Horse and the very high-end Mustang GTD. It uses a detuned version of the GTD's supercharged 5.2-liter flat-plane crank V8 engine, likely putting out about 700 horsepower, and a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. It gets a new aluminum hood, underbody venting, a new fascia, standard MagneRide dampers, and a magnesium strut tower base. And if you add the track pack, you get a new spoiler, carbon fiber wheels, carbon ceramic brakes, and overall cut about 150 pounds out of the vehicle. So we know that Ford is committed to the Mustang brand and the Mustang portfolio, especially internal combustion Mustangs, and this investment seems to prove it for the moment. So if you don't want to splurge on the GTD, this is likely to be a little more affordable. On the right, we have the Bronco RTR. That RTR, that stands for Ready to Rock. Think of this as a Bronco Raptor Lite. It features an EcoBoost 4-cylinder, so not nearly as much power as the Bronco Raptor. That 4-cylinder features anti-lag technology. There's a 1,000-watt cooling fan, 33-inch tires, a unique grille, and some rather bold lime green accents. You can add a Sasquatch package to this with 35-inch tires, Fox dampers, and a locking front differential. This will start at about $52,000, so that is quite a bit below where the Raptor is. So if you want something bold and very off-road capable, the RTR, especially with the Sasquatch package, might fit your bill. And that about wraps things up for this week with Auto Perspectives. If you like what you see in here, please subscribe and share. Visit AutoPerspectives.net to check out the blog. Look for me on LinkedIn, and I hope to see you back here in about 7 days. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.